3 times in 1 week. I love this.
And not just in a week, in a row.
In a row. We're on a roll.
I know. We're on a roll.
On a roll like a sushi roll.
I miss my sushi.
I know. I wish I could send it to you from Vancouver.
You know what? I'm impressed with the Okanagan sushi with some sushi places up here. It's quite good. I've got to say, like, we don't have as many. We don't have 5 on every block, but pretty decent sushi, actually.
Right. And are they all marinated in wine?
For those that don't understand that reference, it's because I live in an area that's known as wine country. So, and the answer is no. I wish. You're going to be a part of me when I have my first sip of coffee, not the last sip.
A part of you when you have the first
sip of coffee.
I love it. I don't. Is there something to understand beyond that, or am I overthinking the statement?
The last sip.
Oh, I get it. Right. Because we have a couple of last sip episodes doing...
Wake up. I know it's the morning.
I'm up.
Yes, I know. I am so excited this morning.
I know. I'm so excited too. You know how when you have those ideas when you start your podcast and you're thinking, who would I love to talk to? And I will make sure that happens sometime, no matter how it might happen.
And that's, that's basically what's happened. Because we have, we'll just talk about it right now because we just started talking about it. We have the chef Christina from Hell's Kitchen fame. I know it's how I didn't even say her last name because I feel like, and that's actually something I want to ask her is about chefs. Some of them go by last names and some go by first names, it seems. Or is it like a more modern thing to say first names now? I'm not quite sure. But
I'm not sure at all. But Chef Christina Wilson is the full name. Yes. And she is the most prestigious, no offense to anybody else, but the most prestigious winner of Hell's Kitchen out of 18 seasons to date. She is season 10's winner.
19
and
now 19.
19 seasons.
We don't know that yet, I guess, because it's still airing. So
that's right. Mm-hmm. So she is the most incredible reference point I can think of the show, as well as being a member of the queer community.
Yeah.
And representing the power and the, I know we say it all the time, but the resilience and the tenacity of women. And then not to marginalize, but queer women as well. You know, this real human prowess in an industry that, I mean, I want to ask her about this now. Is it the same as what I've heard in the past? That is much more challenging for the female population usually to break into and to be in a leadership kind of position.
Right. Because I remember, and we had Chef Nick Peters Bond on the show, whom was of Hell's Kitchen fame, and Chef Mary Lou.
Yes.
And even I remember when we were talking to Chef Nick, because you asked a similar question, because he's also a part of the community, and he was mentioning how actually his first boss or first chef was or still is queer, and she woman, and just how it for him it was like it wasn't really a thing.
Mm-hmm. It was exactly.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's different in different communities, and I think that was in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So
Boston, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. And I know Chef Christina, she was raised just outside of Philadelphia. So of course,
that's right.
And the only reference I really have to Philadelphia is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I was thinking was the theme song to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I was singing it.
Yes.
Philadelphia, born.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Most of my days, and that's like
yes.
So the whole morning, that's what's been in my head.
Well, I love it though, because when you say Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I'm thinking, Fresh Prince of Vancouver. Eh?
Love.
Right? Exactly right. I would like make it like white as rice though, so it would be nowhere near as captivating or as interesting or as desirable, but still.
Hilarious. So
Right?
I love it. So she, and I keep saying Chef Christina. I wonder if it's okay just to call her Christina. But
I think so. I think so. She's not in the kitchen. Right now she's not wearing a chef coat, right? So
this is true, but still, like that's how everybody knows her. But that's okay. We'll be on first name basis. So she, I believe she does currently live in Vegas. At least, actually, I do know that because that's where she'll be calling in from today.
yes.
And she is like she oversees. I'm going to butcher her actual title for the Gordon Ramsay organization, but she oversees a really big amount of Gordon's restaurants in the States. Now, I almost want to say all of them, but I could be wrong in that respect.
Right. We'll clarify that because it could have changed as well over a period of time because it was for a few restaurants, I think, in the Northwest United States region, but it could have been might be now North America, right?
Yeah. And initially Las Vegas. So
initially, yes.
Restaurant in Las Vegas, because she was the winner of season 10. So that was 11 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I mean, he says like the most amazing things about this woman, like that she is, he says, yeah. So like, he says that she puts herself last and it's all about other people and that she is the most humble chef, one of the most humble chefs he's ever met. And so that goes a huge way. I mean, I've seen her in interviews where she still can't believe that he's her mentor essentially and friend. And so that's pretty spectacular what this woman is. Very inspiring. Really, really cool. Mm-hmm. So yeah, lots of neat things to talk about.
What's also neat though is that you can also, and I have this conversation with my partner Sydney quite a bit, and it's not a right or a wrong thing. It's actually a really logical thing. But on reality shows, sometimes you can't really tell what's happening behind the camera with the contestant, let's say, and are they playing a character of themselves or are they actually just being themselves? And what the camera's picking up is what the camera is actually seeing.
Yes.
Right. And so you can see that with like Mary Lou and with Nick. Those are two examples of like, no, what you saw is what you got. There wasn't any embellishment to the post edit or to the character story development or anything like that. And same with Christina, there wasn't any of that. But there are a lot of people where that does happen. But these people were of those percentages that were not like that. And it's really cool to see that you can be authentic and be you in front of a camera, let's say for, nationwide television. And that is who you are. Like there's respect and integrity with that is what I'm trying to say.
It's interesting because ever since we've had a few reality TV show, I almost would call them celebrities, but contestants or not sure how would you say that? I don't want to.
I would just say people.
People, really.
Yeah, just a few people.
A few people. It's made me have a whole new perspective on reality TV because I really poo-pooed it for a while because I was like, okay, is this really reality? Like what is this? I'm more of a fan of, I was going to say like fiction, but now having some of these people on our show, it's been really eye-opening. And I've always loved the cooking shows anyway, because I feel like they're real because you're actually like, you're working with your hands. You can see that they're creating something. It's real. It's coming, their mind, their body, their hands, which is really neat. I feel like Hell's Kitchen and even Drag Race.
Yes.
Productions that seem to really highlight authenticity and the real person that is a part of the show, which is really a fantastic thing to hear. So well done.
Yes.
Done.
Well done, productions. Thank you for bringing us real people that are making real impact in society. Exactly.
What you always hope would happen, but
you don't always get that result though, which is really sad.
No.
You got me on a dating show for like 21 minutes for one episode, like 5 or 6 years ago now. And that was real. And, people saw me in the street and they reacted a certain way and they were thinking, oh my God, or they would, not even say anything. They would just be like, oh yeah, it's you. And I'd be like, fuck, the episode aired again for the 5th time.
Really? So I didn't know
Yeah.
that you were recognized.
I was recognized all over the city, including other areas or neighborhoods out of the downtown core. People would look at me and they'd be like, I know who you are.
From that,
I had people stalk my yoga classes for several months, just wanting to know what happened at the end of the episode.
shut up.
No, they actually came to the studios that I taught at regularly, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And they come after me like, I mean, one, amazing class, and two, what happened on the date?
You never told me that. Wow.
I had people on the Canada line, our subway system, actually say to me, "Hey, you're that dude from the show, right?" And then actually had a whole conversation with someone on the SkyTrain.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, at least they seem to be all sweet, no threatening people, I hope.
So far, and I'm such a has-been now, thank God, that it wouldn't have anything coming on as well. So that's a huge relief.
Been from the one episode. You won't be a has-been soon. You'll be a here and now.
Here and now. I love that. Love that. It's like you can't even find the show anymore. It was First Dates Canada, for those wondering, because First Dates is in so many countries in the world now, but it was only on for 2 or 3 seasons in Canada, and it was filmed in Vancouver. That's the reference point I was making. So
I enjoyed that show watching.
It was so good. It's
yeah.
so good. So feel good.
Except for the fact that you told me how, how they really kind of fudged a lot of things in that show with the how people perceive you and what actually was shown and what wasn't shown and what was said. And anyway,
I know. So I'm really excited to have Christina. I've said to Rachel, like, for a long time now, in terms of how long we've been doing the podcast, I should clarify. Yeah. And I remember messaging Christina on our Getting Juicy handle maybe 4 months ago. Don't hold me to the timeline, but quite on before I had reached out to Mary Lou, and definitely before reaching out to Nick. Yeah. I just felt like I would love to meet Chef Christina. And then I think Christina noticed a comment that I left on a post by Mary Lou, because she really is a supportive Mary Lou fan. And of course, being her mentor as well. And then she liked it. And then from me saying, hey, we left you a DM, like, please take a look. We would love to connect with you. That's how she saw the message that I had sent so far back. And that's when me and Rachel kind of had a little like, oh my gosh, she saw our message. And that's how we actually were able to get her scheduled to come chat with us in any moment now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary Lou.
Thank you, Mary Lou.
It's always a song. Thank you, Mary Lou. And Mary Lou, she had such phenomenal things. Everyone has phenomenal things to say about Chef Christina, about Christina. I mean, it's, just leaves such an amazing impression in with everybody. So yeah, super stoked.
I am too. And I love the fact because Christina was like, what do you want to talk about? And is there anything you want to, discuss? And so when I presented what I would love to connect with her on, she said, yeah, like, that sounds great. I'm open to that. I'm receptive to that. And so hopefully we can get to know a little bit about Christina as Christina. Right. And,
well, and that's the thing too. Like, I think a lot of people, especially with reality TV, aside from fictional TV, is okay. I want people like, what's the juice? I want the, I want the drama. Like, what's, what actually happened behind the scenes? Mm-hmm. Is Ramsay actually this way? All the redundant questions that I feel like I'm sure she's heard a million times in the over a decade now of since the show, that we, hopefully we want to kind of mix it up a little bit and not talk about all those similar questions that she's probably heard over and over again. Although I know there's people out there that still inquiring minds want to know. And also I think that with reality TV and those kinds of things, especially with like America's Next Top Model, there are things coming out of the shadows, so to speak, as to what actually happens behind the scenes. So I think people are, again, it's a resurgence of people being super interested of what actually happens on these shows. So
no, you're right though. And especially Top Model got a lot of heat in the last, year and a bit because of it going on like Hulu and stuff. Right. And these were shows that I watched religiously. Like, I rewatched the entire series of Top Model, like late 2019, and it was interesting before that all came out. I saw some stuff that I thought, oh, this doesn't seem too good anymore. This is cringeworthy. And then you see it come out.
Yeah.
Here she comes.
Yeah, she is.
Hi, Christina.
Good morning. Hi. So sorry, I was on like Google Meets or something. I don't know what link I clicked. So
Hey, that is
this can't be
okay.
right.
That is okay. Hi. How are you?
Hey guys, I'm great. Good morning. How are you?
Good,
Wait, where
really
are you?
well.
Where are you guys?
I'm in Vancouver, BC.
Oh, okay. So you're on the west side.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm like, as if I can't.
Either.
Sitting back.
Thought we were going for a hug.
Okay. I wish.
You just sniff each other through the screen.
Exactly.
Yeah. So no, Hiiro's in Vancouver. And have you been to Vancouver before?
I haven't, although it's at the top of the list. I haven't spent a lot of time in Canada, and where I've spent it is over in on the Toronto side.
Yeah.
Just amazing city. I absolutely love Toronto.
It is. It's like mini New York City, like mini.
Like a wannabe.
At least that's. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it felt more friendly to New York, to be honest. I'm from the East Coast. I grew up in New Jersey, about 45 minutes due west of the Holland Tunnel, and we just have East Coasters, especially from the Mid Atlantic, just have like a natural gnarl to us, like we don't come off overly friendly. And I find Canadians, and I know this is a wild generalization, I find Canadians to be some of the like most pleasant people. And when I'm in polite, and when I'm in Vegas, and people like might come up and say hi, it's not the accent, it's not like the sorry or the abu, it's not that, it's like this general sincere niceness of hey, I'm gonna just ask you for a minute of your time, do you mind? Like it's such a different approach. And Canadians out themselves right away by being so damn polite. So yes, the city itself I think is like New York, with the restaurants and the vibe and the streets, and there's so much culture scaled down, but I think definitely much more friendly.
But totally. Those stereotypes are so true, because I remember even being in a store not that long ago, and I was at the front till, and then the woman behind the till accidentally knocked something over, and then she said to me, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "You didn't what?" Like,
you guys like live to not inconvenience other people, and it shows.
Yeah, we're peace. Yeah. We want to be peacekeepers.
Yeah, like super cohesive.
Allegedly.
I know. You guys might be demons under it all.
Are you in Philadelphia right now?
I'm in Las Vegas.
You're in Vegas? Okay.
I haven't been yeah, go ahead.
No, it's insane, because I mean your background. Okay, I'm not to get into it. We watched this little show that where your house got renovated. So I saw the blue wall, and I'm like, oh, is that her home?
No. This is my little bullshit kitchen in Las Vegas. Nothing like the masterpiece I have in Philly. But Martha lives in the Philly house, which I've had for since 2009. Okay. And then I have this one in Vegas. Yeah, the bi-coastal thing,
which is so.
I love Philadelphia though,
and as
amazing city.
Because before you came on, I was like, the only thing I can reference Philadelphia to is the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
West Philly, man. Yeah, that's a place. It's a real thing.
I know. Us Canadians know where Philly is. Don't worry, but we know where Philly is.
Yeah, and that's okay. I'll take the you guys knowing the Fresh Prince over like our murder and crime rate or our shitty NFL team or professional sports teams and all that. So if Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is the thing that Canada thinks about when they think of Philadelphia, I'm here for it.
Well, I mean, I'm the generic queen that thinks about cheesesteaks.
Yes, nobody can touch our cheesesteaks. That's I'll fight for that one. That's for sure.
Funny.
Hiiro, what are you guys doing? What are you up to? Is this your studio? Are you like at two separate homes or?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, me and Rachel are best friends. We're yoga teachers from Vancouver. She wanted to hire me.
You keep saying yoga teachers. I don't even do that much anymore, but go ahead.
That's fair. That's how we met.
Okay.
That's how we met. And it's like, I'm just very slapstick, very candid, as we told you. Like, we met, I knew that she couldn't afford me, no tea, no shade. And she was like, I said, I want to be your best friend. So let's forget the professional side. Let's just be best friends. And our conversations were as candid as they've been. And we were like, let's have a podcast 6.5 years later.
That's amazing. That's good. It's nice when things come together that organically and without the pressure of the business side of it all, and just kind of let that unravel. And that's great about yoga too. Yoga absolutely saved me. I was I'm trying to watch my mouth. I'm sorry. I'm trying to not swear because I don't know what you're.
We're totally okay with it.
An absolute fucking maniac in my late teens, early 20s, like when I first got to college, like maniac.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I was living my life. I look back on my 20s and I'm glad I survived it, and I'll smile about it every single time.
Yeah.
A lot of hard lessons learned, but absolutely a lot of fun. But somewhere in my early 20s, probably 23-ish, I found yoga, and it absolutely saved my life. Like, it helped me settle down my mind. It helped me just reach a different and clearer level of consciousness. And it was, I had a very dedicated practice for about a decade. And it wasn't until I came out here to Vegas that kind of diminished, because I couldn't find a yoga studio that felt like home. And for me, yoga became like almost a replacement for church. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was like super spiritual. It wasn't like as physically driven, although like I love that part of it, but it was just like the movement of mind and body and that kind of synergy that I was really drawn to. And there was a few yoga teachers in particular, and I think that happens probably with anything. I'm sure with like spin classes and dance classes, you find instructors that you really connect with. And
totally.
The studio I went to had two that I really just like felt something with, and still in touch with those ladies today. But there's not in Vegas, there's not as deep or as sincere a culture as we have in other US cities. I think it's because it's such a young city. Vegas wasn't really settled until like the 70s, 80s, going 70s, 80s. So super young city. And there's some great benefits for that. But the culture piece is just starting to really kind of find its thread in the fabric out here, which is great. It's a good, they need it, and it's a good change for the locals. But in any case, yay for yoga. Or I'd be like,
Right. No. Yeah.
You say that because I was just thinking, how you said like, okay, the culture peace hasn't really happened maybe yet in Vegas until recently. Do you feel like because, and this is something I really wanted to ask you about with Vegas, because you've lost so much of your tourism and the Canadians coming, like there's, oh my God, the amount of fucking like West Coasters in Vancouver, it's like, it was so easy for us to hop down to Vegas for a couple days.
Yeah.
That maybe that's how you built your culture over the tourists, but now that's not happening as much. So now maybe it's almost like there's no choice but to develop your own culture and to finally have like I don't know.
I think quite honestly, yes, I think that's a good point. And it is I think it's illuminating the soft spots where culture is still kind of missing, and where we're as locals. I think what's where I've been out here for 8.5 years.
Wow.
Since I know, fucking hell. I know. Wow. I was meant to be out here for 1 year. I can't even, some days I'm like, it just blows my mind.
We'll get into that later. We'll get into that later. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in Vegas, I started to see a shift around 2014 and 15. And what we were seeing is that people weren't coming for 3 or 4 years and then moving back to California. Vegas for a very long time was kind of a pass-through city. You'd come here and because you can make really good money in Vegas, especially in food and beverage, because there's unions. So our servers make 6 figures, like across the board. It's insane. They get paid. Wow. The US is super archaic in a lot of ways, but they get paid union wages plus tips. So they'll make $13, $14 an hour plus $400 to $800 a night. So they are like, they're putting their kids through school. They're buying. It is such an amazing thing to see. Like I said, I've been out here for 8 years. So we have so many day oneers at stake, and I've seen their kids go through high school and now graduating college. And this is like on a food runner salary. And that's the beauty of Vegas, because you don't get that anywhere else in the US, where culinary or front of the house people are actually paid a true living wage. And not just a living wage, but one that actually lets you have that kind of socioeconomic mobility. Usually people just settle into food and beverage, or I don't know. It's such a mix. But in any case, I think as people started to, California was getting so much more expensive, the taxes and everything. There's no state tax in Nevada, so our paychecks don't have that taken out, just the federal. But people stopped coming for just 3 to 5 years and then moving back to California or somewhere else. People were really starting to make roots here. And then getting professional sports team really helped too. Like it created so many more jobs. The locals felt like, oh my God, we finally have something that's ours.
Yeah.
And the hockey team came at the best time because it was right after the shooting in 2017, which just like absolutely devastated us. That hockey team single-handedly put this city back together, had a killer year, made it to the Cup finals and lost to the Caps. But yeah, so I think Vegas in the last probably 4 or 5 years are really starting to get culture that's not on the Strip. And I think that was the problem, that everything went to the Strip. And if you live here, we don't ever go to the Strip unless we're working ever. Okay. So there's this culture that's building downtown, which is amazing. It's kind of the arts district, and then out into the suburbs. But yeah, Vegas in a nutshell.
Yes, and I actually have like a very, very, very quick story because I was in Vegas. Yeah. I'd say 2 years ago now.
So was I. Yeah.
Yeah, not at the same time.
No.
But and I was there, and we decided on, it was a long story short, it was a friend's second set of nuptials wedding. It was only 4 of us or 5 of us that went down, and we decided, because I'm like, you know what, I've done this Strip, like I've done this in times because I used to have to go down there for work and do big trade show conventions.
Okay,
in fashion,
for bread and butter.
Yeah, fashion at Mandalay Bay, and I was like, fuck, like I'm over that. So let's go downtown. Like you just said, like we actually bumped into a couple locals, and we had the fucking time of our lives. I'm like, this is the real Vegas. Like we ended up at this old blues bar, and there was a man that was sitting on stage. He's probably in his late 70s. Phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
No teeth.
Yeah. Naturally. Yeah.
Naturally, no teeth. Right? And like beyond, like just head explodes, like just talent. And then we ended up at a drag bingo night that we were like the only foreigners there. Like everyone else, locals. And I'm like, this is what, like,
hey, bingo. Were you at Charlie's? I'm trying to figure out where you were.
Oh, good question. Oh my God.
Okay, it's okay. I'm wondering if you were maybe at the Sand Dollar and Charlie's up in Chinatown, or if you were like fully downtown, down by Atomic. But
we were fully downtown, and it was like an indoor-outdoor space. Like there was a whole like, and they only did it like once a month, I think, or something like that. But anyway, it just was phenomenal. So it's those are the types of experiences that I think a lot of people don't. Yeah. That I think if they do have, they start to realize that Vegas is more than just
the Strip. Yeah. And you're right. All the locals, if we go out, it's downtown or it's Chinatown. That's really kind of where we go, because it's where the good people are. And it's not, we love the tourists. This city thrives and is alive only because of tourism. And to your earlier point, it's been a really tough year for us. We're doing the best we can, and we're scrappy as hell out here for sure. And we'll bounce back because everybody is just dying to be out and do something that feels normal. And once it's all safe and we can, I promise you, Vegas is absolutely ready to have everybody back. But downtown is where it's at, and that's where you'll feel that culture. And it's not just buy this like $18 Bud Light and walk through a casino. It's just you get a $4 draft and you fucking walk down the street and you have a good time. Like that's it. So that's cool. I'm glad you got to have that experience. And that was a big shift for me too. I'm like East Coast in the marrow of my bones. So coming out to Vegas was rough in the first 2 years. I really didn't take to it. It wasn't until I found the like Red Rock Canyons, until I found all the nature stuff, kayaking down in Arizona, about 45 minutes away. And then some of the stuff they have downtown. That's when I started to be like, oh yeah, okay, this place is actually cool. Just it's not all the Strip, but that's what we're known for. So
right, but you're right though. And in terms of you kind of again being from Philly and then growing up and stuff, I'm curious to know a little bit more of whatever you're comfortable to share about. And you've been really transparent and candid, which I'm very humbled by, very appreciative of, very much so, as someone that's been looking up to you for so long. But I'm really curious to know about, of course, for many reasons, but I'm very curious to know about a little bit more about like your earlier days, whatever you're comfortable sharing publicly. It's completely up in your consent, of course. But I'm curious to know about just how you grew up and kind of how that inspiration developed and where you got to where you were, even before culinary, even if it was very early on, right? Just who is Christina?
It's a That's a very deep question. Thank you.
I'm a very deep person.
Let's see. I grew up in New Jersey. Like I said, Northwest Jersey, right on the kind of Pennsylvania border. I came from like a pretty small town. I grew up in the house that my mom grew up in. Like we have a couple generations in my hometown, a place called Phillipsburg. And I have 3 older brothers. And I saw. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. No, it's okay.
I'm trying to turn off my text. I don't know why it's coming up on my computer today. Anyway, sorry about that.
It's okay.
So I grew up with 3 older brothers, and I think that as I kind of and I'm like hyper self-aware and just always trying to like be better, and I look back and I reflect a lot. But I think having 3 older brothers and coming from a working class family, my parents were divorced and then both remarried, but blue collar across the board. My dad was a mail carrier. My mom worked in payroll at a like a foundry. Basically, my stepdad worked in a foundry, and my stepmom's just a little kooky. She didn't work for, it hasn't worked for a long time. So anyway, growing up super blue collar, really humble, not, I don't want to say poor because I think I don't want to, there are people that lived well below the poverty line. We always had a roof on our head and clothes on our back. So I think it's like a little bit relative. But I think having 3 older brothers, again, and working parents, one thing that I notice about myself is I get asked a lot, oh, you're a woman in a male dominated industry, you know, what's it like? It's super normal for me. And I've never I've experienced it, not so much on the line or on my way up. I experienced it actually more when I got to the corporate side and we're like talking ideas and adding value at a table, and how I had to shift to amplify my voice. And to like really just kind of make and I had to make my own space at the table. But leading up to that point, what I realized is that because my parents always worked, my brothers are 7, 5, and 3 years older than me. So enough. I was just always expected to keep up because we didn't have the time or the money to be like, oh, Chris is the only girl. Like if my brothers had to piss in the woods, so did I. Like it didn't matter that I didn't have toilet paper. Like I had to figure it out. So there was a lot of just, I grew up in a way where I was always keeping up with people that were like considerably older than me. And it was always like the oldest kid was in charge after school. It didn't matter. It could be a neighbor. It could be a cousin. It didn't have to be my brother, but we traveled in like little packs with very little supervision. Kind of shit. I committed so many felonies as a child. I look back and I'm like, thank God there was no Snapchat. There was none of this shit because we we weren't doing it. It wasn't a lot of like malicious intent. We were just very curious and we had no supervision. So if we wanted to like break into an abandoned house, we found a way and we did it. We weren't in there like breaking shit. We were just curious. So yeah, but also it is definitely a felony. So I think that one thing that really helps me, again, just being kid sister to 3 older brothers in a working class family, is that I'm innately competitive, like incredibly competitive. Yeah. When it comes to work, not like that's a lie. I'd go into a dead sprint with you right now. It's a fucking lie. I'll make a competition out of anything. But and then I was heavily involved in sports as a kid also. I didn't have like the best home life. There was my stepdad was a bit of a prick, and I didn't always want to be home. And I found like a lot of solace in sports because I felt part of something. I was really good. So I thrive when I feel useful. And then I really just looked for that kind of mentorship and guidance from my coaches, because I didn't necessarily get it from my parents because they were working and it was, you know, they had their own struggles. And as a kid, we have our own. So I think that those bits of growing up are, when I look back and actually like really truly reflect, I think those couple pillars are really what shaped the foundation of who I am, where and Gordon's been great with that. Every time I've gotten a promotion, it's always been something I'm not quite ready for, but he knows I'll get there and he'll give me the resource and the tools and the support to get there. Wow. But my whole life, it's always been that way. And so I absolutely thrive in that kind of environment because I'm competitive and because I want to keep pace with like the older kids or like all my big brothers in a way. Like I'll always just like absolutely push myself to get where I need to be. And he's just been absolutely brilliant, and how he's allowed my career to grow outside of just that kind of chef on a station or chef on the expo, or corporate chef looking after 5 and then looking after 10 restaurants, and I've continued to get promoted all the way up. But he's been great in keeping me engaged in that way, and I think he recognized early on that that's my formula, is give me something I'm not quite ready for, and I will absolutely like just smash it. But if you keep me too comfortable, I don't get complacent. I won't like rest on my heels, but I get idle, and you don't necessarily get the best out of me. You get great out of me, but you don't get the best, because I'm not naturally feeling challenged, if that makes sense.
Or maybe
I'm exactly the same way though, so I get that.
Yeah, or you'll like continue to look for something else, perhaps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's not that you, no, that does make sense. Gordon Ramsay, like the amazing things he says about you are just like, on that episode of was it My House? Mm-hmm. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's just like, what did he say? That Christina is one of the most humble chefs I have ever met. And I can, as soon as you popped on, I could sense it like right away. So I just feel honored that I was like, I feel honored that she took the time to be a part of our podcast, but it doesn't feel forced. You just, not at all. So thank you. Like, I understand.
You're welcome.
I understand what you said now is what I meant.
Yeah.
It's also not lost on me that I can be like a touch too nonchalant. And even when I was getting ready this morning, I thought, fuck, I know I didn't answer one email. There was nothing to answer. It was really sweet, and thank you for that. But I thought, oh my God, like these guys might be nervous that I'm not dialing in, because I just like, to me, I also box things off like, okay, yes, we said yes, we decided on it, great. Nothing else to talk about. I'll see you on that day. But then I thought, oh shit, they don't know that about me. Like they might be thinking, oh my God, is she going to bail? And I felt really, when I was getting ready, I felt really bad. And I was like, oh no, it'll be fine.
Totally fine.
But yeah, I mean, coming from such a small town and getting my ass kicked by my brothers my whole life, I'll never get too big for my britches. I know that. I know. I work really hard to stay grounded and just a decent human being. And it's interesting. I can see where some people would let it all get to their head. And as I got to come back to Hell's Kitchen as sous chef, and as I continue mentoring some of the, not all of them, but a handful of the good ones I stay in contact with. But it's funny, we film the season, and then there's that kind of gap time before it airs. And then when it's airing, I'll start to see them on social media, like really just going. And the ones I have time for, I always tell them, just drink it slow. Remember the first time you got drunk and you just drank it way too fast and none of it felt good at the end of the day? Like, just drink it slowly. You got to sip it. And most of them kind of do that, get a little step change, and then are able to navigate, because it's a lot. And nobody's ready for it. You're not ready for it walking in those doors and starting to film, and you're absolutely not ready for it when it airs and you start getting all these comments on social media. And that was the best thing Gordon ever told me. And we do get along. We have a great relationship, and we had a really good relationship on my season, actually. I mean, I was scared shitless the whole time, don't get me wrong, but and what I know now that I've been with Gordon for nearly 10 years, is that like he would call on me during the season, even if I wasn't on that station. I had nothing to do with it, but I knew it was because he knew I would understand what he was saying and what point he was trying to get across. So, maybe one of my teammates fucked up something on fish, and then he would be like, Christina, like, what the fuck is going on with the scallops? And I'm on hot apps. I'm like, I don't know, chef. I'm not even, but I would look at him and be like, yes, chef, we got it, chef. Don't worry. I'm counting it down, chef. And like, he just needs that kind of engagement to know that somebody like actually absorbed what he was saying.
Right.
But yeah, he is amazing. And completely candidly, Gordon is one of the most humble people on this planet for as much as he could just kind of boast his success and what he's done. He really doesn't. And he does so much under the radar that we just don't talk about, because he wants to keep it that way. So yeah, there's a lot, and he takes a lot of shit in the press, as famous people do. But yes, I it's easy for me also to remain humble and ambitious, because my leader is exactly that same way. So
yeah. Well, you just hit that on the head as well, though, because again, taking it back even from being a viewer, like being I'm 29 and I started watching House Kitchen.
Babies.
I'm not me. I'm not. He's a baby. I'm older than you think. I'm more in your age.
Okay.
But point is, it's not just the gay gene, but point is that watching Gordon from season 1 of Hell's Kitchen, right, and seeing that come on, I used to watch it with my brother, and not making it about me, but the context is what I'm getting at. My brother passed from leukemia in 2005, and so when he was sick, it was around when he was in the hospital when Hell's Kitchen season 1 came on. So then that was my exposure to who Ramsay was, because that's what most people my generation would have referenced someone in media to. So watching that and having that imprint in the brain of, okay, this is who this man is, this is what he's doing, and I loved reality shows. I then got into taking cooking classes with my brother as well. And then I did presentations on Gordon Ramsay in school whenever it's like passion project or profile someone. So like I actually talked about him, like, this is Gordon, he does this show, he's got his at that point 4 kids, he lives in here, so it's really interesting to have that kind of sentiment as kids, like one day I'm gonna connect with people from these different walks of life, and then you fast forward 14 years later and here you are, right? So it's really humbling to connect with someone like yourself, who I've looked up to, because for many reasons, including the queer community and reality, but the authenticity part, which we say to filth all the time, but it's true, the vulnerability, the authenticity, and just, I'm a human being first and foremost, and whatever I do or whatever I've done, it might be part of me, but that's not just who I am. And a lot of people like the spotlight people just for what they've done or their title or what show they've been on, and that's not what we're about on our podcast. We want to get to know the person, and that's why me and Rachel have said to you, like, we're so grateful, we're so humble to be able to share that with you,
No, thank you. Those are really kind words, and I'm sorry about your brother. I can't even imagine what that's like to kind of navigate, and then to go on and live past that. But I'm happy to do it. And honestly, anytime people are, I know you guys have been around for a little bit now, but anytime that people are just trying to grow their platform and they seem like good people, if I can, normal, clean people, I can help them. If I have the time, I'm absolutely happy to. So thank you for thinking of me.
Absolutely. It's so funny, because I even said to you, I think in one of the emails, it's just funny, like all of a sudden we've had, you're the third. The most important to me. Sorry, Mary Lou and Nick, but
Mary Lou and Nick are two of my absolute favorites, though. So I'm glad to be in that. To be in that company.
Yeah.
And
Nick, oh my God, I adore that man, and he's coming back on actually in about a month or so as well. Like,
he's so sweet, he's super talented, incredibly talented, and so really driven, just focused, kind of knows his shit, sits above all of it, but can like throw the claws out every now and again. He's like the king of one-liners, one-worders. He'll just he'll get it. He'll drop a gem and then just keep moving. And it's he's great. He's really great. Super talented though, like incredibly talented.
So I just because I don't normally have notes, but I do today.
Great. Let's go for it.
Because there's some things I just didn't want to forget to ask you about, but going back to your time growing up in Philadelphia, and your first, it's funny because here we call them townhouses, but it's a row home, right? You guys call them
row homes.
Row house in Philly. And I heard, I guess it was on that episode of My House as well, but that you had rented that place for quite a while, and then with the prize winnings or the money from Hell's Kitchen season 10, you were able to purchase that home, and you have that home.
I do. I love that house.
So cool. Like,
it's such a good time for me to sell it right now, and I just fucking can't. And I know that I think to some degree I'm being short-sighted. But again, when you come up from not much, there was like, I started renting that house in December of 2009. And my landlord was this old gay German playwright who was getting ready to retire. And he lived up in New York City with his cat, Sophie, at the time.
Oh my God.
John Barrow, what an absolute gem. And I was, he was incredible. And so when we first met, when the house was open for rent, and I was going to find a house to rent, the minute we met, we just like hit it off. And it's definitely that, like, I was like his little gay puppy, and he was like this older, and I'm like really drawn to older people. My best friend out here turns 85 this year, Bernadette. And so I was super close with my grandma growing up. So I don't know, there's something about, and I think I'm just old as hell on the inside, always have been. But John and I just got on so well. And at the time there was no Hell's Kitchen in sight. I was just plugging away in Philly, and I loved where I worked. I loved my life. I was like super happy. My family was close enough, but not on top of me. So it was very perfect. And John was like, hey, when he chose me, and it was such a great house to rent. And he had the rent was pretty low for the area that it was in. And I was legitimately living paycheck to paycheck at the time. But we hit it off. He chose me out of all the applicants. But he told me from the beginning, hey, I'm going to look to sell this house in about 2 years, because he was retiring, but he wanted to go to Germany to write this play, like actually in the German language, and whatever. He was going to go on this playwright adventure. So he wanted to sell the Philly house. So he said, I'm just giving you a heads up. Probably in about 2 years, I'm going to want to sell it, just so you know. I was like, oh shit, I might be ready to buy it by then. Again, this is no show. And I'm thinking, if I can just keep putting, nickels in my mayonnaise jar under my bed, I'll get there someday. Give me 2 years, I can do it. And he gave me like an obnoxiously great price, because again, we just had this really good connection. So when the show happened, and and I had that little extra chunk of money, that was, it just felt so natural. And I felt like that house was always mine from like the minute I walked in it, to look at it, to rent it, to today. It just, I love it. It's a pain in my ass. It's like a 100-year-old house. There's like fucking hell. There's so much work I got to do to it. It's just, but it's so charming. And again, I love Philadelphia. So to have still a little bit of roots there, it keeps me sane.
I was doing like this because I can't even see that old ass.
Yeah, I can.
I live in a house that's over 100 years old. So finally we bought our first home, my husband and I, and I told him to be quiet because he's actually demolishing a spare bedroom, which would have like knocked your ears off your head if you so he is, I don't know where he is right now, but anyway, yeah, I get it.
Somewhere being quiet. Yeah. Doing as he's told.
Yeah.
But yeah, we call them row homes in Philadelphia.
I love, like, talk about timing. Hey, because you were on that. You started renting it in 2009. You said, right? And then 2010 on the show, or
2011. 2011 we filmed. 2012 is when it aired.
Okay, sorry. Season 10. That's why I was thinking 10. So yeah. So I guess like that just begs the question as to, I know you've probably talked about this a million times, but how did you get on the show?
I'm going to do my best to give you the short version. This actually, I'm going to do the best to give you the short version. I think I'm going to turn it into like a children's book, to be honest, because sometimes when I tell the story, it feels like a fable. But okay, short version. I went to school to be a teacher, played basketball, was on scholarship. When I started college, lost my scholarship because I was a maniac in my 20s. Fucked up, lost my scholarship, wanted to finish college, but didn't want to take out student loans because I saw everybody struggling with student loans at the time. This was the Bush years, presidency wise, and for our economy. So kind of like this. So I started like bartending and waiting tables and cooking. I would pick up the Saturday and Sunday morning shifts because everybody was out getting fucked up the night before. None of the cooks wanted to work them. But I was always like super drawn to the kitchen. I loved cooking at home. Always did cook. Again, my mom had 5 brothers. I had 3. We We're the ones always in the kitchen. So I start cooking. I finish school, student teach for like 6 months, like it, but don't love it. And I'm like, fuck, I think I really want to like check out, like maybe look into this culinary thing a little bit more. I had a great mentor, a restaurant who I worked for, a lady called Ellen Yin. She worked down in Fork. She like really encouraged me to just do, like, fuck your degree, like do what feels right for you. So my best friend at the time was dating a chef who owned a restaurant outside of Philadelphia. And I was like, Lainey, ask Ralph if I can, like, I'll work for free. Just ask him if I can come learn. And she was like, okay, yeah, cool. So Ralph, of course, says yes. I go in, I start working for free for like a couple months. And I'm learning a shit ton. They owned 2 restaurants at the time. So I'm kind of going back and forth and just like soaking it all in. They started paying me like, I think minimum wage might've been like $7 an hour. It was rough. I had like a few ramen and toastiers. Like that's all I could afford to eat. I didn't care because I knew it was more valuable to get the hands-on experience and to put money into going to culinary school than after I had just gone to a 4-year. So anyway, so I start getting better and better and better. I'm with this restaurant group for a couple of years. I end up getting promoted. So now I feel comfortable. Now I'm cooking full time. This is what I'm doing. I'm like, I've pulled the trigger. This is what I'm going to do. So there's this Tuesday night that I'm working, and where we're sat outside of Philadelphia, there's a Marriott Hotel Caddy Corner.
Okay.
And so a lot of people that come in for business, there's like a little convention center there, stay at the Marriott, and then we'll take the train right into Philly. It's cheaper and it's easy. You can walk to the train and it's a 20-minute train ride. So it's always busy, but Conshohocken is kind of a sleepy little suburb. So everything closes at 10 o'clock. So people that come in on the late flight, there's really nowhere except for like Wawa, like a convenience store, and a McDonald's to get food. So we close the kitchen at 10, but the bar stays open until 2. So it's after 10. It was a Tuesday. It wasn't overly busy. I sent the rest of the staff home and I was like, I got this. I'll just clean down the kitchen. No bigs, which I had to do the order and all that shit anyway. And Annie was bartending, and naturally I would have like a couple beers while I was scrubbing down. So I was probably like on my second beer, because I took the train too. I wasn't driving, so didn't care. It's probably like on my second beer, scrubbing down, doing the order, whatever, doing my thing. And the bartender comes back and was like, oh shit, I got these 2 ladies. They just checked into the Marriott. They're fucking starving. I know, we both know there's nowhere to eat. And it's like 10:15. It's not like, 11 and like we had just kind of closed. So Anne was like, would you mind can you cook them something? And I was like, oh, fuck. But now I've had 2 beers, so I'm feeling great. And my personality's turned out. Oh yeah, okay, no problem. So I go and I talk to him and I just say, the grill's closed. Like I won't be able to get it hot enough, but I can make you anything from these 2 sections of the menu, no problem. And there are 2 twins, Lisa and Debbie Gantz. From Long Island. So we're chatting it up. We're having a great time. Nobody else is on the restaurant side. So I'm like I'm like cooking for them and I'm serving them, and we're, we just hit it off really well. And it turns out that they own a talent agency called Twins Talent Agency. Yeah. So they were like, we want you to, we're here. They were casting for Beat Bobby Flay. No, Grill It with Bobby Flay was the show at the time.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, oh my God, will you audition for this? And I was like, not a chance. I actually just started cooking like this year. Like I had cooked through college, but like I've now just said, I was like, I'm nowhere near good enough. I have no desire to be on TV, not even a little bit, but thank you kindly for asking. Let's stay in touch. Yeah. So for the next 6 years, and they were based out of Long Island, for the next like 6 years, anytime they were in the Philadelphia area, they would hit me up and say, are you sure? Are you ready yet? And they would come to eat wherever I was working. They'd make a point to, come to my restaurant. So they actually were able to see my growth. So fast forward to, it was November of 2010. I've now joined a restaurant group in Philadelphia proper, like in city center. I got the house in South Philly in 2009. So I'm like really starting to kind of make a name for myself in the city. Chef de Cuisine at one of the top 50 restaurants, amazing restaurant group I'm working for. The twins come into town. They were in there. They came in Friday night and let me know. They came in for dinner on Saturday, and they were casting for Hell's Kitchen Saturday and Sunday. And they came in Saturday night, and now I'm like, I've like come into my own, and I'm like confident. I'm working Middle Saute. Like, it's to date my favorite restaurant that I've ever worked in. I fucking loved that place. I loved my teammates. I loved everything about it. So they were like, God damn it, Christina, like, it's been 6 years. Like, they were casting 4 blocks from where my restaurant was.
Wow.
And so that was Saturday night. They were like, please come. And I was like, it's Sunday. It's my day off. Like, okay. I was like, fine. The Cowboys I'm a New York Giants fan for American football. The Cowboys, I think, had to lose that night, and they had the 4:00 game, or maybe it was the 1:00. I can't quite remember. But I told them, if the Giants make the playoffs, I'm going to be buzzed. I'll be in a great mood, and I'll come. If Dallas loses and the Giants can't get in the playoffs, I'm just going to get drunk with my boys, watch football for the day, and that's it. And the Cowboys won. And so I went, and when I got there to the hotel where they were doing the auditions, there were still about 900 people to go, and they had 2 spots left. And me in all my fucking glory, trust me, it was like 22-year-old Christina came bursting out of me. I don't know who the fuck I thought I was, but I was like, I got this number, and I was like 890, and I'm looking at the room. I was like, oh, hell no. So I was like, can you please let Lisa and Debbie know that Christina's here? I don't know who I thought I was, like, or what
Wow.
But I had a great relationship with them. And Lisa came out, and she started cracking up. She was like, oh my God, I can't believe you made it. Get back here right now. And I was like, okay. So they let me cut the line.
Whoa.
They had 2 spots left. But again, I had a relationship with them, so it was all right. So they let me cut the line. I went back and did like the first kind of on-screen test, and then it went from there. And where I got really lucky or fortunate, and where all the stars aligned for me, was they were casting for season 9 and season 10. They always cast 2 together. They already had 9 already, like, fully casted, or except for like, I think 1 or 2 spots. Yeah. So because I got cast for season 10 and won that season, I ended up in a Gordon Ramsay restaurant, where the season 9 winner ended up at BLT Steak, which wasn't a Gordon. Gordon knows that restaurant group and used to be financially involved, but wasn't at the time. So
yes,
Paul, who won season 9, got BLT Steak in New York, and he stayed on with the BLT corporate team for a couple years and went on to be like their kind of opening chef, that could have been me, but I stayed on with Gordon, who had his first restaurant in Vegas, and that's where I went. And then I stayed on as he expanded. So it just, everything just lined up. But it really just goes back to me being a little bit buzzed and happy to cook some pasta for 2 ladies I didn't know.
I love it.
Love it. Yeah. Love it. So any chef that's listening right now, if you just see Air has to cook 2 things of pasta,
just do it.
Do it. Just do it. Right?
Yeah. If it wasn't for a pandemic, I'd be out of the bars like every night and just be a little buzzed and just hope I run into someone and then be like, hey, we got a podcast.
Yeah. You never know.
Actually, though, like, I literally gotta say, it's the same thing. You said said, I just want to learn. I just want to do that. And it's the same parallel with teaching as a contractor in Vancouver. At least there's so much saturation of yoga, Pilates, spin teaching, and I teach Pilates and spin too. And so I just said, I'm tired of my full-time job at a front desk at a yoga studio. I just want to teach. Got my training, started teaching before I was certified to teach, even with liability insurance. And I volunteered for 9 months just to get 200 hours of teaching. So in addition to that parallel, I mean, is if you love what you do and you have an opportunity to do it, just do it and know that it could lead somewhere for you. Even if your purpose is just to share what you love to do, that's going to translate more than anything else, right?
Yeah.
So good on you. What I was really curious to ask you about as well is that, and even since it was shown on House Kitchen, because it was, you have a partner and you said her name is Martha. Mm-hmm. And is this, because I'm not assuming, is this the same partner that you've been with since that time as well?
Different one. Okay. Different one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, I don't know if blondes are just my type or what, but yes, different one. Sarah and I, who was on the show, we actually broke up right as the show was starting to air. Just lives going in different directions. So yeah, different girl.
Okay, and so Martha lives in your house in Philly right now.
In Philly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. And so, what was that like to meet her, and how are you two doing?
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic has put a wrench in a lot of things, but I think we're just doing our best to kind of navigate it. Martha went to school for musical theater, and she is in the wedding industry. She's an artist, like all the way around, but she does calligraphy,
Wow.
and does a lot of handwritten wedding invitations and signage, and actually just a lot. She's incredibly talented.
Wow.
But I think it was, every business was impacted. Some businesses were impacted in a good way with the pandemic. You look at people that make masks or hand sanitizer or things like that. Their business has gone way up. I think the restaurant industry got murdered, but we're so resilient that we're able to come back or step change and do takeout or delivery instead, and we were able to stay afloat, but the theater industry and the wedding industry just absolutely collapsed. And I think that was, as her partner, I could just see how difficult that was for her to navigate, because I think I'm super analytical. Like I'm like solution oriented, like what's the problem? Let's find a solution. Where's the straight line to the next goal? Let's get on that road. Where she's like an artist in every aspect of the way, more whimsical. I'm like, oh, it's shiny, let's go that way. And so we approach things very differently, but it was tough to watch how much that impacted her, because I think for creative types, when they don't have that outlet, the musical theater or the calligraphy or the art or the commission pieces, it just gets all bottled up. And I'm not somebody that feels comfortable or would ever want to be on stage. But I think there's an energy, and there's something that you receive back from the audience that you need, because that's how you're kind of built. So I think, and I'm just kind of more, let's just get on with it. But Martha's got all the feels. So I think it really hit her hard, and it was tough because we opened our restaurants back up. So I was here in my life. I was in London. I opened a restaurant October, November, December. I flew over to London to help with the restaurant. That was a whole nother story. But so my life was like, even though we weren't at full capacity, I was still working and still had that kind of everyday purpose. And I think a lot of people, and that's not just Martha, I think a lot of people may have lost their purpose in all this too. And I think it makes you, again, I think a lot of things are just like illuminated, and it really makes you look at yourself and where you find your peace and where you find your happiness, and how much is inside, how much is, your environment or the people around you that contribute to that. And I think it was super revealing, and in a really tough way for everybody. I think I had some really shitty days, and the US was under an incredible social unrest with everything that went on, and I was devastated. I've never cried. It was a tough time to be an American. But yeah, I think it was really hard. So the distance we're usually fine with, because we both are busy in our careers, and we like that like space of freedom. But yeah, I think it was pretty tough for her, especially not to have her normal outlets. But it's starting to kick back now. She's in rehearsing for a show right now. I think they film this weekend. They film on Sunday. And the wedding industry, like slowly but surely, is starting to come back. So yeah,
amazing. And how long have you two been together for?
2.5 years. What are we in, March?
Yeah.
More than 2.5, almost 3 years. 3 years.
Amazing. Mazel tov. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, I mean, not the stereotype, because it's a stereotype, but like in same-sex relationships, I just find that time is maximized. It's almost like multiplied,
it's like, it's like dog years for us.
Like I've been with my boyfriend Sydney, who I met just 2 months ago Saturday, and we've been nesting for like I don't know, 11 days so far. He's in my bed right now, but like it's just like we've been together for I don't know, like a year already, and it's like what the fuck? It's like, are we already like U-hauling it? Like what the hell's happening here? And it's COVID,
like a bunch of lesbians,
we are literally doing the lesbian thing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
he loves you too, by the way. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe we're talking to Chef Christina.
Hi to bed.
He's waving.
Yeah, I'm the kind of anti-lesbian in that way. I'm not a U-hauler. Again, I'm just very practical, and it makes me a bit boring sometimes. But my control issues come. Yeah. whatever.
Boring in my
That'll
opinion,
be for the next.
best.
We'll go into that on the next podcast. We'll have one just about relationships.
Oh my God. Well, we would love to have you
It's
back.
tough working in a kitchen. Like nobody wants to date a chef. It is rough to date a chef, especially if you're working in a super busy and successful restaurant. And
yes,
my boss just happens to be wildly successful. So yeah, it is really hard though. It's like we have these like hills or mountains and valleys. Yeah, it's tough.
Now,
exactly.
Are you in the kitchen a lot these days, or are you? I wouldn't think you. No, I didn't think you were.
No, not at all. Yeah, really not at all. When we're opening new restaurants, I'll write the opening restaurant menus and train the chefs who are going to actually run that restaurant. Train the chef, his or her team, and then the staff, the culinary staff. I help with the front of the house operations also. But yeah, I'm not having to like slug it out on Saute Station on a Tuesday night anymore. Now I'm I'm well past that, which is good. It's my body is really happy because it's not as straining, but mentally I am pushed in a way that I've never been pushed before. It's literally like nonstop. So but it's good. I love it, but yeah, it's
well, and you've gone to business now. Like it's really been from assuming. So that's like something that I feel like probably, I was like on a first name basis, Gordon, because I know him, Gordon just assumed, or just not assumed, but just knew that you could rise up and come into this role, which was very different from what you were doing. But I'm assuming you kind of just had to learned on the job to get into that. Yeah.
Like a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And it's the part of the business that I really like. I mean, it is really fun to go to the grocery store, go to the market, get a bunch of fresh ingredients, come back and say, okay, what dish am I going to make? That's the romantic side of the culinary restaurant life. That is definitely not the everyday. But I geek out on, where are we going to open our next restaurant and how many new jobs are we going to create? What impact are we going to have on the local community? Again, like I was saying, I've seen a med get his kids through high school and now through 4 years of college. So to me, that's where I get comfort. That replaces that great dish that I made on, my Tuesday night on Saute. But you're right, Gordon. And as I was saying earlier, he'll make sure that I have the resource and the support to get where I need to go on the next step. So when it comes to operations, I work very closely with one of my colleagues who was based in the UK, but came to the US like once a month. And he really gave me a lot of the responsibility. So as soon as I'm accountable for it, I'm going to I won't sleep until I know I got it right. So yeah, it was just exposure and a lot of on the job training and understanding how everything kind of links together. And at the end of the day, we're trying to run a business, a successful one that makes money and will be around for 10, 15 years is kind of the goal for each location. So yeah, I like learning that side of it. And I think because I'm a bit more analytical in the way I think, I have so much more comfort in that area. Yeah, if that makes sense.
It totally does.
I love it. Yeah, I geek out on it. It's like when I was learning about, when I was first learning about like HVAC systems and black iron and, why I can't put the kitchen there, but I could put it there. I was like geeked out. I was like on LinkedIn, like watching these little videos about HVAC and shit. I don't know. It's so intriguing. Yeah. There's so much that goes behind like a restaurant. So like when that steak and mac and cheese gets in front of you, the amount of work, it has nothing to do with the steak and mac and cheese. Like the amount of work that went to get everything else together so that you could sit there and eat that. It's unbelievable. People would, they don't understand. It's a lot, but I love it. And I love learning and growing in that operational sector.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. What I wanted to ask as well, because I can't believe we're coming up at the end of our hour here. So we would love to have you back at a time that works.
I'd love to come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm just like a little like I don't need to be like that, but it's just like is this for real? Sorry, I'm getting a little bit clumped.
Are you guys both in Vancouver?
Well, Rachel was born in North Vancouver, which is really close. Oh, she was born in Toronto. Sorry, I keep forgetting. I forget. I'm so sorry. Just take it. Just answer her question.
Here, from here. Yes, no, I was born in Toronto, actually, believe it or not. So a lot of my family is still back there. But I moved when I was very little. So Hiro's partially correct. I grew up in Vancouver. But I want to say, gosh, almost 4 years ago now, which is crazy. My husband and I moved from the big city to a smaller city because akin to kind of what Vegas or a lot of cities in the States were like, Vancouver, nobody really, not I shouldn't say nobody, but it's very hard to make a livable wage.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
So with that being said, like, you know, we just had enough. And, you know, our dreams were to actually own something to get out of living. Basically, we were only living in like a 550 square foot space.
That's tight for two people. So yeah,
it's tight for
no matter how much you like each other.
Hey, even our 1,500 square foot house is sometimes
I like to look over your shoulder. Is he here?
I don't know where he is, honestly. Anyway, whatever. We're very open with each other. So in any case, I don't live in Vancouver. I moved about 4 years ago, and I'm going to do it in kilometers because we don't do miles. So
that's okay. I can work it out. I know.
Where I'm about like 450 kilometers from Hiiro, like British Columbia. Canada's bigger than you think.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get that.
So like the province of British Columbia of BC, like I would say I'm about 5 hours driving from where Hiiro is.
Okay.
Still in the same province, just 5 hours north. And actually, Christina, if you're a wine connoisseur or fan, I basically live now in what's called the Okanagan, if you want to look that up.
Okay.
Okanagan is wine country. So essentially,
okay.
Yeah. So I live in kind of what's akin to like a Napa Valley kind of areas.
Okay.
But smaller town now. So people, if you think Canadians are friendly, it's even more friendly in this town.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, if I get up there, if I physically get to Vancouver, we could do it in person, but y'all seem to be pretty far away.
Well, you know, wherever you end up.
Okay.
Wherever you end up, we're always happy to be of support and show you whatever you need from us. We are always happy to give back. Of course we are.
Sorry, Hiiro, you were about to ask a question before Rachel made me start doing fucking math conversions, miles to kilometers. Sorry.
No, what was I going to say? I think I was going to say something about on the lines of like coming to Vancouver and stuff. And I mean, it's kind of like I have no culinary background and I'm not ashamed to say that besides the cooking classes and being a bit of a sous chef and helping prep for my boyfriend because he's an incredible cook. You heard that? You're an incredible cook. But anyways, I really lucked out. But anyways, my point is, as I digress, there aren't any Gordon Ramsay restaurants in Canada, right?
Not yet.
Okay, because I was thinking like for Vancouver to be such a Vancouver, I mean, I'm sure you've done some knowledge of culinary for Vancouver because it's pretty international. I mean, girl, the city is booming right now, even through COVID. Like Momofuku is opening up. I'm like, what the hell is happening to Vancouver? This is nuts. And I could imagine that there would be a huge opportunity there for the group and for his presence in Vancouver. Yeah. I would almost die.
We just, I think it's kind of on the radar and always has been. We just Gordon but about a year and change, signed with a private equity partner. So we now he's got his other international stuff, but we have a Gordon Ramsay North America team. So we'll be going into kind of the East Coast of the US first, some expansion there, and then looking into the islands and up into Canada, probably closer to 24-ish. 2024, 25. So, it's definitely for sure on the radar. And if I had to guess, it would be Toronto and BC Vancouver, BC is where we would land there. So yeah, super exciting.
Phenomenal. Well, that's super exciting. And then Rachel, do you have any other, well, actually, no, another thing we do like to ask our guests as well is before we say bye for now, I'd like to say, because there's always like, part twos and stuff with some of our guests, which we're humbled that you would be interested in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything that you want to promote or share with whoever will be watching or listening to this? Anything you would like for them to know about? Whether if it's what you do for your job or just something you are passionate about, a cause that you care about, or fundraisers. Is there anything you want our listeners or watchers to know about?
Sorry, I wasn't ready for that one. So I can probably come back to you with a
Okay.
on the next time. I'll give you a bit of a list. I work with a couple local nonprofits in Las Vegas that mean a ton to me, but I can't tell you. I mean, Unshakable is the bigger organization, but not enough that I could be like, oh, here's this website or go donate there.
That's okay.
Otherwise, we're just making some good food in the U.S. and hoping that we can fully open safely to everybody sooner than later. One little fun fact I'll give you guys before we jump off. With our expansion coming up, we're growing our team, and so I've just there's a guy called John Scallion. He finished third on season 11. Amazingly talented, really good guy. He my opinion, should have been in the final, but wasn't my decision, especially back then. But I hired him as our executive chef to look after some of the Caesars restaurants. And then Michelle Tribble, who won season 17. We're moving our headquarters to Dallas. Michelle is from Dallas and is back living there since COVID. So I'm bringing Michelle on as my research and development chef, who will work with me in our test kitchen out of Dallas. So I'm super excited about that. I think I got probably two of the most talented people that have ever gone through Hell's Kitchen. So keeping it in the family a little bit there. But so if you're looking for other people to talk to, I would absolutely maybe reach out to Michelle or John, and they can give you some more insight to the business, to their journey, and especially Michelle, because she did 14 and then went on to All Stars. So
we would love that. Of them both. We would love that. Of course we would.
And I was like, we'll come down to Vegas anytime. We can quarantine for 2 weeks if we need to. But would love to meet you one day. Final question. Final. Saying this, I know the final question. Well, we usually ask our guests something, but I'm going to change it a little bit. If you could be your favorite meal, what would you be and why?
The pizza I grew up on. I would be a Nicolosi's plain pie, which is just cheese and sauce, because it never misses. It never fucking misses. It's the best every single time. Awesome. That's what I would go for. Yeah, no doubt. I'll put my plain slice up against anybody in the fucking world. Best pizza out there. From one Jersey girl to the world. I'll challenge it. Nicolosi's. That's where it's at.
Amazing. Thank you
thank you guys. Hiiro, Rachel. It was lovely talking to you. Tell your significant others thanks for sharing you for the past hour. Appreciate it. Hopefully you get some good breakfast and your husband gets back to drilling out that spare room there.
Thank you. We'll be in touch with the links and everything for you to share, and let's figure out a time for you to come back at your convenience.
Let me know whenever you have a slot open, and we'll work it out just like we did for this one. So happy to.
Thank you.
Unreal. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Have a good weekend. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Good talking to you.
Okay,
bye.
Bye. Bye.